Welcome back, everybody. I'd like to introduce and welcome Macquarie Green Investment Group Commercial Procurement David Burgess to the stage. The Boulder Creek Wind Farm is a 372 megawatt onshore wind farm located 40 kilometres southwest of Rockhampton in central Queensland. The project has been developed by Macquarie's Green Investment Group and is expected to comprise of 60 wind turbines. Wow. David Burgess is the Commercial Procurement Lead for Macquarie Green Investment Group's onshore renewables project across Australia and New Zealand, with a focus on engagement and contracting of project requirements across the life cycle of the asset. Please welcome David Burgess.
Thanks, Nicola. Thank you all for joining me. My name is David Burgess. I am the Commercial Procurement Lead for Macquarie's Green Investments onshore renewables portfolio. Just like to start off by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which the Boulder Creek Wind Farm is located, the Durrumbal people and Gangaloo Nations people. Both traditional owner groups are important stakeholders for the project, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present. I also extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples joining us today. I'll start with a little bit of background about Macquarie's Green Investments Group, just to give everybody a little bit of a feel for who the owner of the project is. So essentially, we are the Green Investments part of Macquarie Asset Management, which is obviously the asset management group within Macquarie Group. The mission that we have is essentially to accelerate the transition to net zero through developing and investing in new green infrastructure, powering clients with green electricity and other energy products, and then also measuring and reporting on green impact. All three very key and important activities that we're involved in. So just a quick overview, and then I'll get into more about the wind farm. So essentially, Macquarie Asset Management is a global asset manager. We essentially manage around 870 billion of assets at the moment across the world. So that's across a whole load of infrastructure. And then we also have specialist areas of expertise across infrastructure, green investments, real estate, agriculture, and a number of other areas of asset management. Green Investments itself is the green investments arm of Macquarie Asset Management, with an energy development pipeline of over 30 gigawatts and 11 plus gigawatts of operating projects. So just a little bit of an overview. Macquarie Asset Management Green Investments actually bought Boulder Creek Wind Farm wholly last year. The wind farm itself is located around 40 kilometres southwest of Rockhampton. The project will be executed in a number of stages, with stage one being the first and largest stage, which will consist of 38 wind turbines, and giving that stage one a capacity of 228 megawatts. Current timing on the project, things as always with projects can be fluid, but we are currently aiming for commencement of full construction, so full mobilisation in mid-2024, with a number of pre-construction activities before that to enable that mobilisation, including local road upgrades and some of the environmental activities that we need to execute, such as cycle translocation and the like, and that will take a number of months, which is why we will start that hopefully early in 2024 to enable that full mobilisation. The project itself has both full state and Commonwealth approvals in place. We are currently working through the secondary consent requirements of those approvals, with an expectation that we will have those all those required to begin construction in place before we reach full financial investment decision. So the project itself is located right between Mount Morgan and Westwood, and I have a bit of a drawing after this just to provide a little bit of context. In terms of currently our contractors, so GE Vernova or General Electric, as they're also known as, the US manufacturer, will be the preferred turbine manufacturer, or OEM. We are currently in the very closing stages of selecting our head contractor that will look after the construction and essentially be principal contractor for the site throughout throughout the construction and installation period. The land of the project itself is currently pastoral land, predominantly cattle grazing, and those activities, we have designed the wind farm so that those activities can continue after the construction of the project with minimal impact of the wind farm. So a diagram, a bit of an overview of the project itself. So in the bottom left-hand side of this drawing, you can see the location of the wind farm. So between Westwood and Mount Morgan, just off the Capricorn Highway is the main access. The wind farm itself, as you'll see on the diagram, the larger diagram, access in through the Capricorn, through a newly built road that will bypass the Westwood town, and then through up Flaggy Creek Road as the side access into the main project area. And there you can see the current turbine layout. The dotted lines to the turbines show the stage 1, and then the future stage 2, which is the remaining turbines in that approved 60, we expect to start development of that at some point throughout stage 1. You can also see there the 275 kV transmission line going out from the center of the site through to the eastern side to the power link switching station, where we will cut into the main electricity grid. Just a little bit of background on the project and the stage we're at. So we are currently in the pre-construction phase. So essentially here is when we look to secure an offtake agreement for the project. We finalize our construction contracts, sort of 2 or 3 main contracts that we will engage and head contractors. Then our financing, I guess, continuing resource monitoring, and then a lot of community engagement as we progress closer and closer to the final investment decision and eventually construction. One of the things to touch on, grid connection application. So we're progressing really well with our grid connection. So we expect to have that sealed and ready to go beginning of the year in 2024. So we've had no issues so far on any of the grid connection process. Our current work that we're doing ready for construction, we're engaging with both of our cultural heritage traditional owner partners, being the Darumbal and the Gangulu Nation. We're also making sure that our preliminary construction readiness and planning activities are being undertaken. So we've done a lot of surveying, we've done geotech, we've done our local council road upgrade design, all of those items that will allow us to hit the road running when we eventually get to final investment decision. As mentioned before, we're still waiting to appoint our main head contractor in terms of the construction, but we have selected GE who will be supplying the wind turbines and installing those wind turbines. You can see there that we'll then move into construction phase, which could be anywhere up to 2 or 3, or could be anywhere up to 3 years. And then once that, we will continue into the operations and maintenance phase. So the lifespan of this project is currently expected at 30 years. So we will maintain ownership of that and operate the asset throughout the life of the wind farm. Bit of detail on some key areas and key information. So I mentioned before, so site access itself will come. So Port of Gladstone is where the wind turbine components will come in. We will then move out the Port of Gladstone down the Capricorn Highway. We are proposing to build a new turn off the Capricorn Highway onto Roger Street, which is an existing road easement. And we'll build approximately 1.5 kilometers of new road there before turning onto Arthur Street, and then upgrades for Arthur Street, moving on to Flaggy Creek Road for some widening and ensuring that we can get those major components up that road, and that the road itself is fit for the traffic that will be going down it. We do have some minor construction anticipated on the eastern side, so Mount Morgan side through Boulder Creek Road, to allow Powerlink to come through to do the cut-in and also to allow us to build the switching station. We're still working through the surveying and design of that road to ensure that the road remains in a usable condition throughout the time that we're going to be doing construction. So in terms of the turbine, some interesting information here. So as I mentioned, GE will be using the GE 6 megawatt 164 rotor size machine. So that'll have a tower height of 148 meters. That'll comprise 7 tower sections. Those sections can be anywhere from 64 to 76 tons, and anywhere from the smaller section, which is about 11 meters in height, in length, to those that are about 36 meters in length, which are the larger sections that we'll be moving. The blade itself will be 80.4 meters long, which will give the total turbine tip height of 230 meters approximately. In terms of the main turbine components themselves, so we expect those to be manufactured both in the US, and there will be components that come from China. A bit of a diagram here just to explain a little bit about the turbine. I won't spend too much time going through this, but essentially this is where the major lifts will be. These are lifts that will be happening at about 148 meters, and these are pretty large pieces of kit. So just gives you a bit of an overview of what a turbine looks like and what it's made of. In terms of the construction work, so we will build approximately 40 kilometers of internal access tracks, and that will be built to allow for the delivery of those major components and ensure that we can move some of those large pieces of equipment on the and they're fit for purpose for the logistics transport options that we'll be using. Grades, so grades up to a maximum of 15%. So we have optimized our civil design to make sure that grades are below 15%, so that we don't need to come up with any very complex or innovative solutions for transportation, and also ensure that from a safety perspective that transportation is very achievable and done in the safest possible manner. Turbine foundations themselves are fairly large, so while you may have seen a wind farm, you may see that the top of the foundation is a fairly small circle. Underneath there is, for these turbines, will be approximately 800 to 900 cubic meters of concrete. And as I mentioned, the structure itself will get backfilled so that all that is seen really is the top of the joint to the tower itself, and the backfill for a flat hard stand area. So the turbine hard stand, so for those not aware of what the hard stand relates to, so around the turbine area there is an area of compacted usable area of it's usually around a hectare or so, that is used for both I guess ongoing access, but mainly for construction. So to allow the 750 ton crane to sit there along with all of the components of the wind turbine to allow lifting. So that is a large area that needs to be compacted to specification. There will also be blade fingers that sit on the other side of the access road to where the turbine hard stand is, to allow those blades to be laid down and prepared, ready for lifting up to the top of the tower. For information, each of those hard stands as well has a couple of boom support pads. So further along, outward from the turbine, you can probably just see on this diagram, there are a couple of boom support pads that are there used to help rest the boom down prior to lifting. It is a fairly large piece of kit to be able to lift those components that far up. Onto the electrical side, so the internal overhead line. So we do have about 7 kilometres of 275 kV overhead line, which will run from the centre of the project at the central substation out to the switching station on the eastern side, which is next to where we'll cut into the existing Powerlink 275 kV line. The overhead line itself is fully contained within the project site as well. A couple of diagrams of some overhead towers, not necessarily the ones that we'll use, but just to provide some context on what they may look like. So the substation itself, so right in the center of the wind farm, there will be a substation. This one as well, there will be a switching station as well on the eastern side. And that's where we expect, as mentioned, that eastern access coming into as a secondary access point, given that the switching station is right on the eastern side. The substation itself in the centre of the project is 1 to 2 hectares inside. And I guess in terms of the project overview, that's supposed to give you a little bit of context around the work that's coming up and what we're looking at doing. In terms of supply chain opportunity, so as mentioned, we are currently working through with our construction partners to make a decision on the preferred construction contractor, and then allow the sort of a number of months of preparation and engagement to be able to fully establish a solution for the project. So, of course, there are a number of areas and a number of scopes that will be available for participation, general and preliminary items ranging all the way from accommodation through to on-site facilities, safety equipment and the like, through to civil. So plants and machinery, earthworks, dust suppression, steel fixing, concrete pouring, all of those civil scope requirements will be called upon. Electrical as well. So obviously you saw the extensive electrical network that we'll put in place. So cable, material supplies, trenching, cable pulling, cable jointing, and the resourcing to go with it. And then we will have a number of surveying and investigations that will continue through the detailed design period. The best way to get in contact with us at the moment, so we do have a supplier and partner form on our website, which will allow you to lodge your interest in the project. We're currently in the process of getting a proper ICN set up at this point. But if you lodge your interest through our website or contact myself as the central contact, we will respond and add you to the register that we are currently ensuring that all of our contractors and providers have got, to provide them with as much information as possible on local capability. So I think I've flown ahead and finished a little bit early, but I guess happy to take the opportunity for some Q&A if there is any.
Thank you, David. 60 wind turbines with a blade length of 80.4 metres. That's
correct. Yeah, so the stage 1 will be 38 turbines.
Mm-hmm.
That will be the first piece, and that'll be the bit that probably takes about 3 years to build. But yeah, we have approval for 60. But yeah, 80.4 metres, they're pretty big. They're probably, for those people who've seen what the ones moving through Gladstone currently, they're a bit longer than those. So yeah, they do create a large sweat path around the site. So one of those things we've had to take into consideration.
Can you give us an indication of what kind of wind speeds are required for those turbines to run efficiently?
That is a good question, and unfortunately I am not a technical person, so I would need to refer that, but I can take that question away and provide an answer. It's kind of a key question, I should probably know it, but yeah, unfortunately I don't have that data on the top of my head.
No, that's perfectly fine. And can you talk in terms a little bit of the environmental surrounding the project, revegetation, etc., post-construction?
Yeah, so we have a lot of requirements that have been that we're part of our EPBC approval that we're currently working through. So there are a number of areas that will be, especially for SciCAD translocations. So we will be moving a lot of SciCADs into a controlled, nominated area on site with the requirement to make sure that we maintain that area and make sure it's established. We also have some offset area requirements as well. So we're working through, I guess, those plans at the moment with the department to make sure that all of our plans meet the requirements that they're put forward as part of that group.
And will there be further maybe local supply chain opportunities relating to those remediation works post-construction activities completed?
Absolutely. So that whole operations part of the work, we're finalising our plans at the moment on what we need to do to manage, and manage those areas. Part of what will happen is once someone gives me the final plans, then I can engage with providers to look at how we can structure that service for the ongoing life of the farm. So we will take full control of that. So it's definitely an area that I'm very interested to talk to anyone with those experiences, especially in the region. So yeah, it'd be great to make some contact with providers.
Fantastic. So at the moment, to reach out and register interest, you go to the Macquarie Green Investment Group website. Was that right? While you're setting up your ICN?
If you go to the Boulder Creek Wind Farm.com.au, that is the best place to go to. And on that site, you will find essentially there is a contact form, and it's been geared up really for supply chain. So if you put your details in there and include any information, that email comes through to me, and then I will make contact and we can share. Capability statements, and happy to take briefings on scope, etc. In the interim while we're waiting on our head contractors for those sort of civil and electrical works. I'm happy to field queries and make contacts with people, and then especially for the environmental and ongoing operations side, that's an area that we will control directly. So again, I am the contact person for that. So please feel free to reach out, and I'll get back to you hopefully within a reasonable time frame.
Fantastic. And when do you anticipate the project will be live on the ICN gateway?
It's imminent. It is with me to approve the draft wording and also just finalise the EOI question. So I would expect that in the next couple of weeks, at least before the end of the month.
Fantastic. If anybody would like to talk to David and his team, please head to the Macquarie Green Investment Group booth. So again, it's